Hi everyone, and welcome to today's Tropical Atlantic Marine Weather Briefing for Sunday, July 5th. Things remain very quiet across the basin. We do not expect any hazards this week for marine weather from neither winds nor seas. The main thing that we'll be watching is some strong easterly trade winds that will continue to produce speeds of 20 to 30 knots across the central Caribbean through the week. Taking a look at our current conditions, we've got a high pressure roughly between Bermuda and the Azores. You can see another high pressure over Mexico. The associated ridge with this is creating a broad area of very tranquil conditions across our northern waters, with to the south of this trade winds, mainly moderate to fresh, but strong in the area that I mentioned across the central Caribbean. Those trade winds are going to be continuing through the week. On the right-hand side, you can see seas with this area in the light blue or teal color, showing some rough seas of 8 to 10 feet. Also some rough seas 8 to 10 feet to the east of the Lesser Antilles. As we go on into Monday, you'll see continued very quiet conditions across our northern areas with some relatively minor tropical waves moving down through the deep tropics, but overall the easterly trade winds being the dominant feature, with those being induced by the high pressure to the north, the gradient between that and the lower pressures in the deep tropics of the ITCZ and monsoon trough. Into Tuesday, still very little change, with the main area that we're noting is strong winds and rough seas through the central Caribbean. Winds at times may approach 30 knots with some seas of 11 to perhaps as high as 12 feet. And even into Wednesday, very little change, with continued being the main hazard, the strong winds over the central Caribbean. At times each night, we will have to watch out for some locally strong winds and perhaps locally rough seas in the Gulf of Honduras, as well as to the north, just offshore Hispaniola. Both of these areas will continue to see this pattern through the week. And as we look into Thursday, very little change. Here's the area shaded in green through much of the central Caribbean. Those are where seas will be rough, 11 to up to 12 feet. And then finally for Friday, still very little change, with high pressure dominating the northern areas, creating tranquil conditions. A broad area of strong easterly winds, 20 to 30 knots, with those seas perhaps even enhanced a little bit further as we get late into the week on Friday. You can see a broader area of winds approaching 30 knots and some seas now creeping up to around 12 feet through portions of the central Caribbean. Overall, though, with no tropical storm formation anticipated over the next 7 days, things are relatively quiet for early summer, with no gales or significant swell anticipated. Mariners in the Caribbean, especially the central Caribbean, should continue to use caution with those trade winds reaching 20 to 30 knots and some rough seas of 11 to 12 feet at times. Thanks for listening in and viewing today's briefing. Our next Tropical Atlantic Marine Weather Briefing will be uploaded for you all by 6 p.m. on Thursday, July 9th.